like 5-10 minutes. And then,
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, go ahead. Take it away.
cool. All right. So here, I'll share my screen. So, before I do that, so just to catch everyone up, in the last month, what I've been doing is just for, so can everyone see my screen?
No.
You see Ableton Live or yeah?
Yep.
Yep.
You see my mouse?
Yep.
My mouse is moving around. Awesome.
Yep.
You see Xcode?
Yep.
Code?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. We're not gonna look at code. So just to like set the context here. So, for the last few months, I've been learning, deepening like my knowledge of C++. The reason why that language is important is because it enables you to do the most cross-platform software solutions, right? So I feel like the last 10 years I spent too much time on iOS only, and what it doesn't. iOS is great, but it's a great way to make money, but it's not my creative process. So my creative process is in a DAW. I like Ableton Live. I could use any DAW if you made me use another one. And so basically all the time that I put into Wilsonic as an iOS app is not paying off for me now. That investment is not paying off for me trying to make music in a DAW. And so what I've done in the last few months, and I've done a couple demos along the way, so I think this isn't like news for most of you, but again, this is just to set context, is I'm learning C++, and in a framework called JUCE. JUCE is a cross-platform way of making audio. So audio plugins, audio standalones for platforms like Mac OS, plugins like what you're about to see here in a DAW, iOS standalone, which is what Wilsonic was, and iOS plugins, which are not a huge ecosystem, but a growing ecosystem, but also Windows and then Linux for people who are crazy about Linux. So a lot of what I've been learning in the last few months is how do I write code that works for all those different platforms? Because the way you write code for an iOS app and the way you write code for a Mac OS DAW plugin is very different. And so what are the things that are in common that you can write once and run everywhere? And what are the things that are different, right, that you have to learn the nooks and crannies of all those different environments? So I've been, so from the outside, it may not look like I've made a lot of progress, but I actually have. And actually what I'm about to show you tonight, I am excited about, but I'm even more excited about what I'm going to show you in a month, because in a month, there's going to be an explosion because I've finally solved a lot of puzzles and found some code like design patterns that are going to work for every platform, but also let me just re-implement the cool things about Wilsonic that were really cool on iOS, but now re-implement them in one way that will work everywhere. And it will, yeah, so anyways, so what I'm going to show you tonight is very, very cool, very exciting, especially if your creative process is a DAW or you have to end up in a DAW. Going back to Wilsonic was an iOS app, obviously, and it had a loser like synthesizer, and I admit it, it's a weak ass synthesizer. It had a sine wave and a sawtooth and a sort of a square wave, and that was it. Because the goal was the musical use case, the value of Wilsonic was it's an interactive scale design app. You can interactively reseed all of Irv's tunings and settle on, discover something that you love interactively. That's a huge part of my creative process, and that's another thing you're going to see here tonight. And but the thing is you're not going to use Wilsonic to perform that music. How can one app make every awesome instrument on the planet? It can't, right? There's no way I can make Wilsonic a great musical scale design exploration sort of tool and the complete musical solution that offers all these sound, right? You just can't do that. And so what I'm going to show you right now is, we've talked about this before, but again, just for context, the notion of MTS ESP is this notion where, finally with MPE and the widespread adoption of it, almost all software synthesizers, not all, that's a big statement. A lot of commercial software synthesizers support this standard so that they work with really expressive instruments or keyboards. I can't reach my keyboard right now, I'm like stuck. But in that same capability lets you retune all those software synthesizers. So in the old days, either I had access to someone's code and could put in tuning, or I didn't. And if I didn't, then that instrument was not capable of microtonality. But now, if a software synthesizer manufacturer supports MPE, and I support MPE or MTS ESP, then I can retune their synthesizer, and they don't have to do anything different. They can just support what they support, so it plays nice with rolly seaboard blocks or whatever. But we can tune it this way. So what I'm going to show you right now is, and so I'm going to go to Ableton Live. So what I have here is a plugin. It's just called Wilsonic. There's a lot of parameters here, but the one I want you to focus on, and this might be small on your screen, but I'll make it bigger in a second, is this plugin. You guys can all see this giant menu of presets, right?
Yeah.
Scrolling through, yeah, okay. So these are hard-coded presets. It can be a dynamic list. These are the presets that come with Wilsonic and also come with Synth 1. And many of these tunings are from you here on this call. So there's a lot of Kraig stuff in here, a lot of Steven stuff in here, etc. Again, this is a demo. This isn't commercial software, so it's not going to be released anytime soon. But yeah, here's the thing. This plugin, this window that I'm showing you right now, lets you cruise through all these tunings. You can even use stuff like this to go through it. And I also have real-time like musical analysis tools. So on the lower left here, I don't think you can hear that. I also make this, you're not supposed to do this, but I do it. This is a reference tone. That's a weak synthesizer, but it's a great reference tone for what we're doing here. So on the left is the pitch wheel that you've seen in Synth 1 and other things like Irv has diagrams similar to this. On the right, this is the interval matrix that's in D'Alessandro. So this is something that Irv was doing even in D'Alessandro, just to show, like, given this set of notes, what are all the intervals from relative to all notes in the scale. And this is all in real time. So so as I switch through scales, you can see like it recalculates what they are. What's cool here is this list, this giant list, it can be automated in a DAW, and that's what I'm going to show you. So I will play a piano, and I'm just going to do a very fast arpeggio on this piano. So I will play this. Now I will turn this volume down a little bit. So, can you guys hear my voice and the music?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good blend.
This is fine. Okay. All right. So what happened here? When I selected this clip, watch what happens to this box. So when I select this, it changed the tuning in this box. So this tuning, this preset, is automatable, and you can store these in clips and cruise through these. So this is a combination of subharmonic triads, subharmonic tetrads. Here's a subharmonic tetrad only. Here's a harmonic. So what's happening here? What's happening is, on the left, this is the Wilsonic MTS-ESP Master plugin. It is not making audio. It is sending out a tuning table to all instruments in the DAW who are listening. In this case, I have 3. I only played you the piano. This piano tech that we've talked about before, this listener here is listening to the Wilsonic master, and it is sending out the tuning and retuning the piano. So what I'm going to do is I'll just show you the other 3 instrument. I just want to prove the point that this instrument here is equator, right? That comes from Rolly. Here, I'll show piano tech as well. So these are commercial synthesizers. And I apologize for folks who've seen this demo before. Oh, crap. Is it this? This? Okay. Anyways, Wavetable is a synthesizer that comes with Ableton Live. So I'm having, there's no window to show here for you guys. So what I played before was an arpeggio for the piano, right? So that's this guy. And you can see the keys moving, which is a chromatic scale, but it's a chromatic scale of the subharmonic series of a triad. Then what I'll do is now I'll play the next instrument, which is equator. And equator is playing a concert flute. And then the next instrument I'll play is wavetable. So each of these 3 instruments made by completely different manufacturers, none of which who have shared their source code, none of which I've integrated with, are all tuned up to the scales that I'm creating in Wilsonic. And you can even play them all at the same time. And I can go and change these scales. Now all 3 of these instruments are tuned up instantly. So I've shown demos similar to this in the past, but what's really cool about this, I think you guys would appreciate, is these clips here are the clips that are automating the scale. And what's really cool about this is when I select Wilsonic and I select tuning preset, when I hover, I'm going to make this bigger so you can see this. When I hover here over the, can you guys see the small, it's very small text in the bottom here. But see how it says subharmonic series triad in the bottom here? Can you guys see my mouse and see that?
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Okay, well, so watch this. As I move my mouse, all those tunings in that giant list are here in my DAW, and I can see them. And that's really cool.
That's very cool, yeah.
Really cool.
That's great. So you know exactly what's loaded, huh?
You know exactly what you're loading,
and where it's changing,
and
in the sequence.
And you can see it, and you know this is a really cool, very musically useful idea to be able to automate a preset.
Oh, that's really good.
See the name of that preset in your automation.
Yeah.
You know.
So you know what it is you're playing and where.
Yeah. So I think as composers who are modulating between scales, you could have all these clips like I have, and spray them out in your arrangement. Like I know Stephen, you prefer like this view, the arrangement view. You can spray these out, right? I could pull this out and put this here, and now whatever is played here will play with that scale. Blah blah blah. So you can have a track or whatever you want to do of just your scale changes.
Oh, wow, that's great. And that would be considered a MIDI track?
Yeah, yes. So that's a very subtle question for those of you who don't live in a DAW all day. Like you can have MIDI tracks, you can have audio tracks. If you have a software synthesizer, that's both. It takes MIDI in and it puts audio out. Technically, Wilsonic as an MTS-ESP is a software synthesizer. I'm choosing not to send audio out, but it takes MIDI in, and you can automate it like it was a software synthesizer. So that's,
and then it sends that MIDI information to all the other tracks, right?
Yeah, it's actually not MIDI. That's the secret sauce that I keep kind of hinting around. That's this is the MTS technology where The master plugin is sending out a tuning table to everyone, and those who want to listen to it. And that's what's happening here. For Ableton Live, you have to use a Max for Live plugin to listen for Wilsonic as a as the master. So.
Hey Marcus, initially MIDI, there were issues about resolution.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work in your system?
This has the full resolution of the computing platform. It's not limited to MIDI at all. So this is double precision, 64-bit. Yeah, it's so precise by default. In fact, what's funny is you can't make it less precise. We've come so far that you just get the full-blown double float, type for frequencies. So yeah, precision going forward is not a problem at all.
That's really good.
Again, I know it looks like a MIDI plugin, but it's not. It's just a plugin, but the plugin is actually sending a frequency table
to everybody,
to everyone who's listening, and they're listening by not by MIDI. They're listening through the
MTE.
system. Yeah, they're listening through the system, and they get that full precision, so they don't lose anything. So.
Well, that's a breakthrough.
Yeah, this is a really cool, very musically, like compositionally useful use case for people. It just makes it really easy to be able to click on a clip and see what the tuning preset is. I know the text is very small here, but I mean, to be able to drag, this and see its name,
and
move it around and see what you want it to be. Like, imagine if you did cross sets of the Ebdimicantony and you had 36 hexanies in a row here. You can see what they all are, and you can lay them all out, and then now you can, those clips are in real time accessible. You can do cool things. Another thing you can do in live that's really cool is you can select a block of clips and choose to do a follow action. So I could say, I want to randomly play these clips. Every quarter note, I'm going to choose a different one, or every bar, I'm going to choose the next one, or every 8 notes, I'm going to choose a random one that's not this one. It always has to be different. You know what I mean? Like there's just so many possibilities. It's ridiculous. So,
is that all part of the Max for Live portion that enables that?
Max for Live is what lets MTS-ESP work in Ableton Live. In a different DAW, you may not need Max for Live. So what I'm showing you here, there's some details here. I hope they're not too distracting. They're not needed everywhere. If you have a different DAW, like you like Performer, you might not need that. We just have to try it. But if I were to send you this Wilsonic plugin, you should be able to drop it into a track, and and other instruments should be able to hear it and pick it up and tune it. There's some subtleties to it, some documentation I could share.
Yeah, I'd like to try that.
I have one more thing I want to show. It's a little bit different. So before I do that, are there any more questions about automating presets in a DAW with MTS?
Are you using the Odd Sound Max for Live plugin?
Yep. I actually have it right. Here it is. It's just these 2 files. It's incredible. This is what they give you. You drop these 2 things in.
No, what I mean is the Max for Live plugin. Is that the one that's created by Odd Sound, or you have your own that you've?
No, I just use theirs. Yeah.
Okay.
But for example, there's still a project going on. It's going kind of slow. Trying to make Synth One multi-platform. I volunteer. They're not ready for me, but I volunteer to integrate Odd Sound stuff into that plugin, so that you don't need a Max for Live plugin, or you don't need a listener, right? Like the synth itself will listen, right? It'll be native support. This is something I got hung up on. I didn't fully understand when I was first exposed to all this. But yeah, it's that simple, dude. It just works. It's amazing. I'm blown away. Okay, let me share one last thing and then we can move on. This will be faster since you guys, thanks for bearing with me for all the context and stuff.
This is great stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quit this guy. Okay. All right. Hold on. I also see it. Okay, so I'm quitting Ableton Live. So you saw that one version of Wilsonic go away. This is the desktop version of Wilsonic so far. And again, this is all really early work in progress, but look how cool this is. It's a desktop thing, so you can do whatever you want. And right now I have that same preset page you saw, and I have Brun. And then this is a synthesizer page for the prefab synth, but I'll build that out. But what's cool here is, like I was saying, what I'm focused on now is like real-time analysis tools of whatever scale you're playing. And I'm limiting myself to octave-based scales for now, but I'm open-minded about non-octave based in the future. So on the left, like we talked about, is the pitch wheel. You've seen it in Synth 1, you've seen it at different places. What I'm adding next, and I'll show maybe next month, is I'm going to show you real-time analytical tools that will show you, like, here are all the proportional triads. Here are the subcontrary triads. Here's the 5-limit intervals. Here's the 7, you know what I mean? So I'm going to, all those different kinds of things that we like to do to filter out a scale to, you know, for things that we're aesthetically, you know, searching for. I'm going to have that work in real time. And let me give you an example with Brun. So with Brun, I'm going to start on the ground floor. Okay. So this is the 0 order of Brun. There is no interval. There's only the octave. So, you know, there's the octave. And on the left, you see the pitch wheel, and there's only the octave. On the right, you see the interval matrix. There's only the octave. There's only one interval. There's only the octave. Now, I will, so no matter what the generator is, at the 0 level, nothing changes, right? Like the 0 generators is 0. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to drop down to the next level. And now you have the potential to have 2 notes or more. And as I drag the generator, you're going to see a bunch of stuff happen here. By the way, this could be distracting. I'm showing all the levels. I want you to focus on the 1/2, not these other guys. We're going to get to those in a second. But 1/2, this second row is the octave and the generator, and that's it. So if the generator is 0, you have what you had before. The only intervals that you can see here are the octave. But as the generator increases, what's happening is that the intervals that are available to you in the scale are changing as you cruise through the continuum, right? So I'm going to jump ahead to the 5th. I also like being able to type on a Mac as opposed to, this is the 12ET 5th. It's not the perfect 5th, but you see here, and again, this interval matrix was in D'Alessandro, right? So this is, so you see in the pitch wheel that the 1st degree of the scale, not the 0th degree, the 1st degree, is the 5th. And so it's, you know, made its way around the pitch wheel this far. The interval matrix, what it's showing you is if I start on the 0th degree and I go over 1 degree, what is that interval? In this case, it's the 5th, like you would think. The second row is saying, if I start here on the 5th and I go back 1, what is that? And that's the 4th. It's actually this side here. So for every interval, it's also showing you its opposite, right? It's inverse, right? That's what's happening here, right? That's what this
is. One thing that's not commonly, like, the way that I like to describe those, like the reciprocal process, basically, is it's like getting the modes of a tuning.
Yeah, that's a great, yeah.
So it's like if you have a major scale, it'll give you the, you know, the mixed Lydian, the Dorian, the Phrygian, Lydian, all of that.
Right. And at this bottom slider, that's a great point, is Merchana. I was going to get to that later, but it shows you exactly what you're saying. So if I normalize the scale around the root, then I get what you would expect, the root and the fifth. But if I normalize it around the fifth, now I get the fifth is now the fourth. So this is different mode. But this is in place. I think Kraig or Steven, you guys might have the right. There's probably a really cool musicological term for this kind of transposition. Sort of it's renormalizing the scale in place. You know what I mean? Well, anyway, we'll come back to that. Okay, now here's where stuff starts getting really cool. I'm going to change this to a fourth. I'm going to go down one more level. Now, what happens here? A lot of you already know this, right? So now I'm starting at the root. I'm going a fourth, and I'm going another fourth. And now there's a smaller interval left over. So the interval, and you can see that here, there's a fourth and a small interval left over. What's cool here is you can see like, oh, I got the octave, I got my fourth, and then I got this new interval. What's that? And you can see all the modes, like you were saying, Subhraagh, here, that's going on. On this bottom row, I have another mode that's going on. Where things get really cool is when you start animating this, right? So if I go all the way to the left, it's like we talked about before, everything is the one. But as I start to cruise over, now you start to see, the range of intervals changing as you cruise through here. I'm cruising.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm cruising.
Wonderful.
I'm going a fast motion. Okay. And then now there's a weird flip here, and I can explain that. The problem is that no one representation works because what we're doing is we're going subharmonically down on in the columns, and that works great for this class of generators that are increasing that way. But once you cross over, then you get this weird flip. It doesn't look symmetric. But bottom line is all the math is right. There is no one interval matrix that works for all of these things. And then of course, here's the cool part I want to show you. This thing is really fucking performant. Look how fucking fast this is. This is real time. In real time, I am cruising through Brun like level 8, and it's just instantaneously. And this is all musically playable.
Wow.
It's all playable. And just look how fucking fast that is.
Wow.
That's good.
So you can do any kind of exploration you want with this. So anyways, next demo, what I'm committing to you guys is the next month I'll work on improving these tools here, where I'll start to, for example, with Brun, as you cruise through Brun, I want to, along the way, say to you, oh, whoa, dude, right there, there's a proportional triad. Oh, right there, there's a subcontrary.
No, that's great.
And have that actually show up as you're cruising through this, you know what I mean? So I want to start putting aesthetics like in real time, like searching for, no matter what material you give it, like it will search for all those cool aesthetics.
Wow, that's fantastic. So it'll plant flags in there and say, dig here.
Yeah. Or as you're cruising around, you'll see something like here, and you'll go, oh shit, that's a subcontrary triad right there, blah. And Irv did this analytically.
Yeah, by hand.
And a lot of that. Oh, sorry, my dog wants to come in. Yeah, so he did that by hand, but you'll be able to do this. And he did that. He spent a lot of time. There's a one paper in particular where he did that with a lot of MOS, right? He went through a lot of MOS, and you could tell like he already knew about fourths and fifths, so he kind of knew what intervals to play with and what triads to try and optimize for. But he also did it for some other ones, like the one I keep playing, I love so much. This is my favorite. I'm obsessed with this one. Oh, sorry, that's a very synthy sound, but this has subcontrary and proportional triads in it. I can't tell you which ones, but this will probably be the one I show you next time. That'll actually show you. So my goal is to show you, scale degree 8 and 0 and 5 is a subcontrary triad. You know what I mean? Like that's what I want to I want to have
Yeah.
that like come in and out in real time as you cruise through stuff. So,
Wow.
so that's my demo of where the Mac standalone is so far. And then all of this is going to work as a plugin. So everything I just showed you, it will work as MTS as well. You know what I mean? Like I didn't demo it in the DAW, but all of this works in the DAW.
Wow.
Are you going to have parameter animation as well, or just preset animation?
Yeah. Okay. So that's a great question. I do want to do parameter animation, but the way DAWs work is that the poor user is going to have to see every single animatable parameter for every single tuning, even if they weren't using it, because they're all folded in under that plugin. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to say yes. TLDR, yes, but it will get pretty crowded, right? The more
Yeah,
tunings
we have
add,
that too. It's we have it organized in folders, so it's okay, but it does get a little bit crazy.
yeah. So, anyways, okay, thank you.